KBLA Talk 1580. Happy Monday. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First, and my first thing today and every day is giving thanks to God, asking for God's blessings, the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and getting it going. Man, it's the last day. Well, the last day of September. We only get 30 days in September. And this is what we do around here with the show. Hour one, we usually go local. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. And since it's Monday, we have our Mindful Monday affirmation and grounding with the amazing Sahara Ali, who's a sound bath specialist, among other things. And then we kind of put our relationship shows on hold until after the election, but this is the exception. Black Marriage Monday today will feature Dick Price and Sharon Kyle, who are the publishers of the LA Progressive. They also happen to be married. He is European American. She is Black American. So I thought it kind of had a little relevance and resonance with the actual election. And so we are doing the Black Marriage Monday thing today. Joining me now in the studio for hour one is a journalist, a producer, film documentarian, and a member of the National Association of Black Journalists. He's a host of the award-winning Conversation Live talk show, and he also happens to write for the LA Progressive. So I guess it's LA Progressive Day around here. James Farr, welcome.
Good morning, Dominique. How you doing?
I'm blessed. How are you?
I'm great. Congratulations on the award there, right? That's nice.
Oh yeah, thank you. I decided to bring it to work because it's like I get an award and I my friends were clowning me that I don't, let the world know. So this is the Pioneer Women Awards, Pillars of Change, Women in Public Service. It is from the city of Los Angeles. My council member, Heather Hutt, the LA Civil Rights Department, and its Commission on the Status of Women. So I'm honored to be cited as a member of the 10th District. And you're running for a board of some kind.
Yeah, I've been nominated to the ACLU Pasadena Foothills Chapter Board of Directors, and I've been a member of the ACLU for well over a decade. And I've been organizing with them in our local community around activism and various initiatives. And so, we've talked before about, how folks can be involved. And not so much keyboard warriors. I'm out there in a few different ways. So it's not on me. It's rather in me, and that's how I'm choosing to show up.
So who can vote on that?
Members of the ACLU.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any member of the ACLU Pasadena.
Yes.
Pasadena chapter. And when are the elections?
The election ends tonight at 11:59.
Oh, okay. So
PM,
if you want to vote for James Farr, you better get to it. Uh-huh.
And then if you want to vote, Dominic, I brought you something as well this morning.
Oh,
right?
that was so kind of you.
Except for it is not from the streets. It's official merch, right?
Well,
This is straight from the campaign, all right? Because we're supporting the campaign. You said the campaign doesn't have a lot of money, so I purchased a shirt just for you. And
well, thank you, James.
Yes.
He purchased me a Cornell West 2024. I'm with it. I think I'll handwrite Abdullah on the back because it doesn't say Melina Abdullah. I would give me a big old gold Sharpie and write Abdullah on it because it is the West Abdullah ticket. Look at this. He even got the right size. And unlike you, I won't hate on the shirt and hold it upside down.
Well, and yes, I was listening. You said you want people to get a small, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did say that, didn't I?
Because, last week you chose violence. I'm just recovering.
It's funny you say that because what were we talking about before the show? I told you to stop whining.
You did. You did. You did. And I thought, all these emotions, you ask brothers to be vulnerable,
yes.
And to share how they're feeling. And, yeah, even
but this is radio. This is not your personal relationship. So the vulnerability only goes so far, James. People like on-air vulnerability, but yeah. Well, let me not say that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's funny because you pick fights and then you cry that I'm too hard on
Well,
you.
hold on. Stop right there. Stop right there. You just said earlier before we came on air, crying is okay.
Crying
right?
is good.
All right.
Actually.
All right.
It purges the soul.
It
I'm good with
encourages.
crying.
All
Yeah.
right. All right.
It gets the emotions flowing, keeps us from being diseased. Help by expelling the emotion, but whining not so much. So, would you like the kinder, gentler Dominique? Are you feeling like
No, I ain't scared of you.
Oh,
I mean, what I do know is,
actually, that was
it's
the
early.
kinder,
I'm a leave it.
No, do you, James? It's all good.
Right.
I'm not one of these people that can hand out opinions but not take them.
Okay. You
You
sure?
hear me listening to these chat room individuals. Yeah, in
Well,
fact,
I brought one more just in case.
okay.
I
All right, well, look at you.
yeah, just one more.
Why is it okay? It's Kamala Harris, but it's remove stubborn orange stains. Okay, I'm trying to. I know you're not voting for Harris Wall, so I'm trying to figure out why you brought me.
You want to
this
know my angle?
very cute shirt. Yes.
I don't have an angle. I mean,
Okay.
you may need to wipe some tears. I don't know what's gonna happen come November 5th, right?
Oh, this is my morning shirt.
I
if
don't.
we
I don't
lose.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Rather be caught with than without.
Ooh,
right?
you'll be crying too. Let me tell you
Man,
something,
man.
James. We'll both be crying if that stubborn orange stain, who shall not be moved, is reelected. I think there'll be a lot of folks crying. We said we were going to try to stick more to the local issues, the down ballot. I think every day should be down ballot day. Um, Between now, what is it, 37 days until the election, something like that.
30,
Little,
36.
36 days.
Yeah.
So a little over a month.
A little over a month.
And that is not a lot of time. So I think every day should be down ballot day. And what do I mean by that? I mean, we should be paying attention to what's going on.
Well, the sample ballots came out over the weekend. I got mine in the mail. I don't know if you
Yeah,
received
I did
yours.
receive
So I'm
mine.
going to start looking at it. And then early, what voting starts, in about a week or so?
You know what? I'm not sure when California early voting starts. But that sounds right. It usually starts about 3 or 4 weeks out from the election. And I'll have all that information for you, of course. But I think we're starting to see some of the voter guides come up,
Mm-hmm.
sample ballots, and that's when you can compare and contrast and get a good idea of what is out there. I did not get a chance to look at the debate, the DA's debate, but you did.
Yes.
In situations like that, I typically, read about it,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm interested in your take
It was a 1 hour debate. So it was
on Channel 7.
on Channel 7. So
Yeah.
it was, very tightly ran. Mark Brown did a great job moderating it. Um, you know, First time for me really tuning in to listen to Hockman, and to hear him, next to DA Gascon, two entirely different people. Gascon seems to understand the prosecutor's office, the DA's office, and how it runs, and I just don't get that from Hockman. He's very pro police. You would think what his agenda is to lock people up. I mean, it just he uses a lot of kind of like these Republican phrases,
Well, he was a Republican when he ran for Attorney General against Rob Bonta and
Right.
lost. He was a Republican, but he's since switched.
Right. Well, let's also Gascon was once a Republican, but that doesn't
Well,
surprise me.
Gascon was a cop.
Right.
It's funny to me how people paint him as this big radical because he's embraced the agenda that the voters asked him to embrace. But, of course he knows the DA's office. He was he was LAPD.
Right. People. One of the things that came. One of the questions was about safety on the metro and whose responsibility is for that. Hockman did a lot of fearmongering. They talked. He talked a lot about these street takeovers, these smash and grabs.
And people are concerned about that. So he's playing the hits.
Oh, he's playing all the hits, all the hits. And I mean, you would have, I'm not suggesting he had the questions, but his answers were right on point to counter.
Well,
anything.
I mean, it's just like Trump saying Kamala had the questions. They ask the same questions every time. All you have to do is use logic and surmise, and you know what the questions are. You're running for DA. How do you keep us safer? What's your accountability to victims? You know, how do we get crime down? What about the smash and grabs?
All of it. You know, but
if it bleeds, it leads. And the smash and grabs are sensational footage.
They are.
I mean, you could have one a year, and they'd still be playing the footage over and over again. So.
They absolutely are. You know, I interviewed Gascon during his last run three or four times, him and Jackie Lacey, and you know, for me, it was refreshing to see someone run, and actually live up to it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, these are the things he said he was going to do.
How much do you think Gascon suffers from his personality? I mean, I've interviewed him a number of times, and I find him to be fine, but he's not.
He's very measured, you know.
Yeah, he's measured. He's not super duper charismatic press wise,
right?
And he can be at least in the beginning he could be a little brusque.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about stuff like that. I'm electing a district attorney, not my boyfriend. So.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it seems like he's running timidly right now, whereas Hochman is just hurling him, you know, whatever. He has a lot of support from just about every police agency.
Yeah, all the police agencies plus the old DAs, the ghosts of DAs past Steve Cooley, who was a Republican unabashedly and unapologetically, and who was also the mentor to Jackie Lacey, who is supporting Hochman. All these folks have lined up behind the Republican, and I think that a lot of people in our community are buying this Gascon must go rhetoric, regardless of whether they've aligned it with the facts of how that actually impacts our community, your immediate future. To me, it's very, very sad.
I mean, again,
I feel like people are not doing their due diligence.
If people are committing violent crimes, right, you know, they're going to jail. This idea that people aren't being prosecuted and are not going to jail.
Yeah, well, he said under his leadership, over 100,000 serious and violent crimes have been prosecuted. We'll continue this conversation, and you are invited in. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. That's the number. No matter where you reside, you are invited into this conversation on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. Tabitha Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition with powerful new contributions from today's leading voices. This 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America 20 years later today.
I'm Jeff Davis. I believe my daughter should inherit something, but not the role and responsibility of burying me. That's why I have a pre-need burial insurance plan through Harrison Ross Mortuary. Their plan offers me 4 payment options. 1, pay in advance or pay over 3, 5, or 10-year time periods to keep the payments affordable. Contact the professionals today at Harrison Ross Mortuary. We can be reached at area code 310-704-4901. That's 310-704-4901. And ask for me, Jeff Davis. Thank you.
We're thrilled to announce that the Dear Future Wifey podcast is now available on the Urban One Podcast Network. This show, hosted by Latiris R. Whitfield, explores the journey of discovering and rediscovering love and relationships. With over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, Dear Future Wifey has become a prototype for discussions about love and relationships. Learn how to rediscover love, heal, and have faith in relationships. Go to urbanonepodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Girl, I have a secret. When I get stressed out, I get sweaty. That's why I use Secret Clinical Antiperspirant. It's like my own secret weapon. For 72 hours, I get Secret's strongest protection against sweat caused by stress, heat, and activity, because you know how crazy life can get. Plus, it's made with advanced odor fighters that don't just cover up smelliness. They help prevent it from happening in the first place. Believe me, if I weren't wearing Secret, I'd be a hot, smelly mess. Thankfully, Secret works.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelenos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Race, culture wars, political turf battles, criminal justice and injustice, the courts. These are the conversations you won't hear elsewhere. My guests are leading journalists, celebrities, and sports figures, elected leaders, and influencers. They aren't afraid to get into it and say the quiet part out loud. With Ariva Martin in real time, your commute just became the most engaging part of your day. Tune in weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. or find us on YouTube. Ariva Martin in real time, when you want it straight, no chaser.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, we're live, actually, and we're on old-fashioned terrestrial radio at KBLA 1580. But you can also find us on the app. You've heard Tav talking about it on that spot, but it's really true. I have tested out our app in many a country, city, and even the far outer reaches of Los Angeles, and you can hear us really well. Just get the app. It's good for iPhone or Android, and it's free. All right, so yeah, I do. We were talking about the district attorney's race. They just had that debate on last night, and I do think this is a race where progressives are in trouble. Clearly, DA George Gascon is the progressive here.
Mm-hmm.
And from the polling, supposedly, he's behind. I'm hoping that they're not, no one's polled me, I'm hoping they're not polling progressives, and maybe the polling is wrong. But from the hype that I'm hearing in the community, I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, everything you see on social media, just the misunderstanding of what's actually happening. You know, crime is down.
Right, and I'm told not to, people tell me don't say that, Dominique, because people are scared. So it doesn't matter if crime is down. When do the facts not matter?
Well, the facts always matter. I mean, but the fact is crime is down.
And people still feel more scared, and they're more scared than they were a year ago, even though, I mean, that even the KBLA polling of Black LA County voters shows people feel less safe than they did a year ago. But what was interesting about that is I looked at polling going back, and we've been saying that every year for like decades.
I mean, and you know, understandably, if you are a victim of crime, right, or your family member is, your loved ones are, you know, if you are in proximity to it, you'll have a different relationship, right? But by and large, I mean, when you take it, you know, the metro, for example, I ride the metro all the time, the train. I never feel unsafe.
You've never been carjacked, drive-by?
No. I don't. I mean, you know, maybe it's just an urban sensibility.
I'm not going to say that I ride it all the time, but I ride it sometimes, and I've felt safe on the metro. Some of it is perception, though. As soon as somebody carjacks a bus, you know, and it's happened twice, now people are worried about it. But I think it's important when we vote not to vote emotion, to vote facts, because all of these ads and all of that fear-mongering that, you know, Attorney Nathan Hochman is doing is meant to play on your emotions.
I can only imagine what ads are coming, right? I mean, he's out fundraised, Gascon, probably 3-1.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know. But it's not that surprising because he is a former Republican who has the backing of all of the police unions. I mean, remember, you know, and I use the word union advisedly.
Well, he also has the backing of moderate Democrats, right? I mean, this is business industry. These are
but they're
developers.
And some of them are not that moderate.
No.
And they just, I think, to me, they're not doing their homework.
Well, it's hard to do that homework if all you're getting on social media, if all you're seeing on the news is the smash and grabs, these.
Yeah, I get you. But, I mean, if you're a business leader, most business leaders don't make their investment decisions, their hiring decisions, or get a strategic plan based on social media. They use actual data.
Mm-hmm.
So why are they not using actual data for an election?
Because I think, when you see what's happening across the state, I mean, Oakland is a whole different animal with what's going on there, right?
But to be clear, Gascon is only over LA County, not Oakland.
But we're seeing, but when you're talking about what people are seeing as a whole, right? Like social media has shrunk the world, right? Like you assume what's happening in San Francisco is what's happening in LA and vice versa, right? So here in Los Angeles, it's not as bad as what we are seeing in other parts of the states, right? But again, the perpetual fear.
I mean, and that's not new. That's been the Republican playbook.
In past,
even when they turn into Dems, they still do it.
Our city council just approved one of these. It's almost like a prison camp tower, right? Like, and I talked about this before with you. There's a shopping complex near my home. There's been a police car parked out there every day for the last 2 years outside of sporting goods. Has that deterred any crime? No. Over incarceration, as with the death penalty, these are not deterrents. People are going to still commit crime. Now, we want people to be safe, but the way this state is headed, Dominique, I'm really concerned. We're going back to 3 strikes. I don't know where they're going to. Just here in LA County, we have an antiquated.
No, we absolutely are.
We have an old Twin Towers, right? Where are you going to house people?
Well,
when they start,
that's a whole bunch of different issues there, because supposedly we mandated the Board of Supervisors to close the Men's Central Jail.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't going to happen anytime soon because they don't know what to do with all those people. A lot of them, they're not pretrial and they do have serious health and/or mental health issues. That's a whole other talk show. But here's the thing. LA County, going back to 3 strikes, and remember I was on the radio when we went to 3 strikes the first time, when crime is down at levels we haven't seen since the 60s, is crazy. When it happened in the 90s, it made sense. We were in the middle of a crack. I mean, I was still against it at the time because I know you can't incarcerate yourself out of stuff like this. But at least people had the argument there's crackheads everywhere. Now they say there's unhoused everywhere. But that was so different. There was violent crime associated with that. We had carjackings. There were way more murders going on in South LA and throughout Los Angeles. That's not the case right now.
No. But, if you're watching the news, that's what you're getting, right? As
if it bleeds, it leads. But over incarceration doesn't fix the problem, and 2, we have to look at what does, because if you're talking about unhoused people spending more and more money on police, doesn't fix the problem.
Yeah, and so it's almost like they're enrolling, if you will, a whole nother generation to be incarcerated. That's where we're headed. 47 was to kind of ease up the population. Prop 47 that passed, was it 2014, 15? Now, these shoplifting crimes will be aggregated.
Newsom's just signed some bills that are going to make statewide crime, much more 3 strikes-ish.
Now I think we have a better understanding why he wasn't going to outright not support Prop 36. Right, because he had something else that he wanted to sign, and
he's spoken out against Prop 36. Yeah, it's pretty tepid.
Yeah, he did.
Tepid.
Yeah. And then he signs.
Then he signs little incremental pieces. Which, to be fair, I mean, Assemblymember Tina McKinnon did warn us against those. She was on the show warning, but lawmakers responding to pressure from low information voters, who think that you can incarcerate your way out of a homeless crisis, and retail crime, won the day.
Yeah, I mean, Gascon did a great job explaining how that process works if whether a person is actually taken to jail as opposed to cited out, right? And the police have a lot to do with that process, and obviously the crime, right, that they're accused of.
Yeah, we're right at the hard out here, top of the hour, bottom of the hour. Continuing after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The vice presidential debate between Democrat Tim Walz and Republican J.D. Vance is set for Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like the presidential debate 2 weeks ago, there will be no audience attendance. The Kamala Harris presidential campaign reports it has another $28 million to spend after a fundraising stop in downtown Los Angeles, California. The fundraiser was held Sunday afternoon at the JW Marriott Hotel at LA Live. Harris spoke for nearly a half hour. Arraignment for the man suspected of plotting to assassinate former President Trump at his golf course is expected today. A Secret Service agent reportedly spotted Ryan Ruth hiding in the bushes with a rifle at Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach. Ruth wasn't able to fire any shots and was arrested after fleeing the scene. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. At Blindster, we offer custom-made faux wood and real wood blinds and shutters, cellular shades, Roman shades, bamboo shades, exterior shades, and more, all at factory direct prices. Don't pay too much for new blinds. Go to Blindster.com.
Is this the tackle? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A rough day for both of LA's NFL teams. The Chargers lost at home to Kansas City 17-10. The Chargers, now 2-2, did not score after the first quarter. They're at Denver next Sunday. In Chicago, the Rams are 1-3 after losing to the Bears 24-18. Most of the Rams' offense came on 4 field goals. The Rams are home next Sunday against Green Bay. Magic Johnson's NFL team, the Washington Commanders, are balling. The Commanders are 3-1 and lead the NFC East after a 42-14 win at Arizona. Commanders rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels, who grew up in San Bernardino, was 26 of 30 with 2 touchdowns. In 4 games, Daniels has completed 82.1% of his passes. No NFL quarterback has a higher percentage in their first 4 games in NFL history. Today is media day for the Lakers and Clippers. First full day of training camp for both teams is Tuesday. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit ca-smp-volunteer.org.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Black Women for Wellness and Stand LA are standing up against harmful oil drilling in South Los Angeles. Our Bad Neighbors campaign exposes the serious health risks of drilling in our neighborhoods. You've seen the billboards, posters, and coffee sleeves around South LA. Now join the movement to protect our health, our families, and our future. Visit bwwla.org/no-drilling to learn more and get involved. That's bwwla.org/no-drilling.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent. So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle.
Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Free and Gentle. This back-to-school season, Tide and Downy are giving back with $1.5 million in scholarships. Enter to win. No purchase necessary. US/DC 17+. End September 30th. Rules. Tide.com/scholarship/official rules.
Hey, checking in?
This is not just your flu shot appointment at Walgreens.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is getting your entire family vaccinated in one trip.
Hey, Mom?
And a snack on the way out. Get flu shots for everyone in your family, together. Schedule appointments online today. This is wellness made easy. Walgreens.
Vaccine subject to availability and for ages 3+. State and health-related restrictions may apply.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, so my Google fingers found your earlier question. Early voting starts October 7th in California, LA County, October 7th through November 4th. I don't know about your county, wherever y'all are at, but LA County is October 7th. You can start in-person early voting.
Are you an in-person voter, or what's your strategy?
I like to fill out my ballot at home, the mail-in ballot, and then take it to the polling place and give it to the worker. Although I have been known to drop it in those county drop boxes, which are by libraries. There's one right in front of Lamert Park.
Now, I know in the past you've kind of live on air gone through your ballot with because folks have a lot of questions. I'm being asked about propositions and
and we will do that. We'll do a lot of that. I can't let this morning go by, though, without talking about reparations. Not because I'm obsessed, but because the governor signed the Reggie Jones-Sawyer bill. He signed the apology, right? He's also signed other things that seem less like reparations, but are part of the 14 bills that were originally considered reparations, which is the Modified Crown Act, let us wear our hair for athletics, the notification if grocery stores are closing, or I think pharmacies. And these things are, to me, that's not they're nice policies. But what is telling me a grocery store is going to close? What does that have to do with reparations? And actually, how does it even fix the problem of food deserts? So someone notifies you that they're going to mess you over, that's better?
So disappointed,
So we get an apology. He vetoes the restitution for getting land back, the Bruce's Beach follow-up bill. Vetoes that. CLBC lets him off the hook so he doesn't have to veto a Freedmen's Agency and a funding mechanism.
And then he says, sorry.
I think we and then he uses the lack of a funding mechanism and a Freedmen's Bureau to tank the restitution bill. Thanks, Bradford. Thanks, nice try, though. And that's it? Like, we're supposed to be okay with just an apology and a hair thing?
Yeah,
and a grocery store notification and, no thank you.
Nah, people don't want an apology, right? I mean, if performative were ever a governor, right?
I know a lot of people don't agree with me on this. I like the apology. Apologize, put it on the record for your liability. But is it enough? Hell no.
Well, I see your point, right? That would have been a good start 4 years ago, right? But when we have bills that would have put together a Freedmen's Agency and some of these other things, it's almost like we've gotten a consolation prize. You should be happy that the state acknowledged it. And that's not, I mean, it's a good thing, but that's not what the people wanted, right? And so for me, I have a better understanding now. You know, what was it, August 30th,
31st, yeah.
31st, when all this was going on, not understanding
when the California Legislative Black Caucus decided to betray the people by failing to pass solid reparations bills that we were supporting, in which they had supported.
They all supported.
Which the CLBC had supported all the way through committees, and then just decided to turn their back on. I feel like, yeah. So what are you saying? It all makes sense in terms of what?
It makes sense that was the agenda, and that goes back to, you know, what I believe and many others believe, that Newsom has an agenda that he wants to run for president, if not in 4 years, 8 years. And so when you look at, even with these crime bills that he signed, like, he's shoring up his resume, so to speak, right? The things that he's standing for, you know, when he's termed out of office in the next year. And so, you know, I had a chance to speak with one of the 12, the Caucus 12, and I'll keep that name because it was an off-the-record conversation. And what was disappointing and surprising was that this caucus member, let me not be specific, right? It wasn't the response, right? The response was, where was everyone? Where were the activists? And I know, you know that not to be true. Folks were there every time that there was a meeting, every time you've seen the town halls. I mean, you've done coverage on it. I mean, but it was the comfort level to be as dismissive about their decision. And what this particular person was saying, caucus member, were the same talking points as everybody else. So I said, this is some BS.
Yeah, some other people have pointed that out, but I find even within those talking points, there's a lot of disarray. Because if you read Tina McKinner's op-ed, she's kind of like, well, one member of the caucus, obviously she's talking about Senator Bradford, messed it up. If you listen to my interview, which is available wherever you get your podcast, with Senator Lola Smallwood-Cuevas, she says we had concerns about oversight for the bill. And she also says that she agrees with more study about, you know, the eligibility, if I'm not mistaken. And then, you know, and it's a multi-year process. That's what Charisse Cryer was saying, that they're all saying it's a multi-year process, which is a way of saying, if I don't get anything done this year, you should forgive me because it's a multi-year process. But that's bull. You gotta hold the line. If you're in a battle that goes back generations, as reparations does, all the way to Callie House, and you have the opportunity to move the line forward, the battle lines, you got to push the line. That's not when you fall back.
I don't know if there's any other topic that has taken up, and not in a negative way, so much airtime with you in the last 30 days, right? Where do people go from here? What's the next move?
Well, there's a lot of next moves. I mean, first of all, we have to pass Proposition 6, which comes out of the Reparations Task Force recommendation to end involuntary servitude in the state of California. We need to pass that. I think we need to defeat Prop 36, even though that's not officially part of reparations, but that's putting us back into the prison industrial complex. I think, for me, I feel we need a reparations pledge that any California lawmaker I'm going to support would need to sign. That's my position.
What do you think? Because I'm hearing, you know, some folks may not be voting for some of the caucus members who.
Well, that's their right as voters. To me, it depends on who they're running against and how vulnerable they are. To me, it makes more sense to primary people than to vote for a Republican in a general election when you know for sure that Republican is not going to support reparations.
Right.
What do you think the way forward is?
Activate. That's all. You know, people need to regroup, continue to apply that pressure. You know, I heard them say that these bills will come back. You know, let's get a timeline. Like it's
a timeline and a lawmaker.
Right.
I mean, maybe Michelle Chambers will bring them back.
Yeah.
Or Laura Richardson, should she win. But you could tell who I'm, you know, and it's crazy because that's a whole other conversation. But there was kind of a hit piece in the LA Times about Michelle Chambers. And from what I'm working on that story, because from what I can tell, it is just that. It's a hit piece based on a rumor from when she was in high school. And if we all have to live and die on rumors about us in high school, we can just forget it. Forget anything, having a job, running for office.
Yeah, I mean, it's we got a lot of work to do.
I think the good thing that's come out of this, the blessing, is that people are paying attention. People that don't always pay attention to reparations are paying attention. We started our Freedmen Fridays in January. We've been doing it this whole year. So we've been talking about reparations before.
You've only been doing it this year?
Yeah, well, we started it in December, but we didn't do it like regularly. We started doing it every week in January.
Okay.
And I think that is part of the work, is making sure people know what's going on. So I feel like the CLBC did us a favor by angering people enough to make them investigate. And there are meetings going on. There was a big one on Saturday. There are coalitions between organizations that don't typically work together. So
the righteous rage is on point, because again, people feel like they got duped, right? Like,
well, and by people we mean us. I mean us. I feel like from my understanding of talking to a lot of different people that were there and that have been working on this process, we had the votes. Mm-hmm. We had the votes to pass these and put them on the governor's desk. And even if the governor had amendments that he suggested, let him show his behind. If he's going to veto, let him face our wrath. If he's going to amend and try to turn the whole thing into yet another study, let him do that. Don't be the overseer for him. What, James?
I'm just making sure you don't go over time.
Oh, suddenly now you're concerned about the clock? Okay, that's good. This is what you get when you have podcasters on, because they could just go as long as they want and edit it later, right?
Well, I don't. I mean, mine's live and live to drive, so it's a little bit different. So I understand the constraints, but again, I heard there's a rumor about 10 seconds, and so I don't want the Virgo in the station to get on you, right?
Well, don't worry about that. I get along really well with my Virgo brothers and sisters.
What are you hearing about the De Leon debate last week? I haven't talked to anyone about it. I haven't.
Well, I don't want to say what I'm hearing. Well, I'll say this, and I have said it already on the air, is that he is a veteran politician. Mm-hmm. He's crafty, he's experienced, and he's unethical.
And racist.
Disgraced, racist former city council member versus a young woman who's never held public office. Now, she is a lawyer. Mm-hmm. She's a tenants' rights advocate. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about Isabel Jurado, who's running against him. Mm-hmm. But she doesn't have the experience on the stage. And so from what I heard, he was kind of bullying her in that exchange. But I didn't see it, so.
How about here in your district, Heather Hutt?
I'm all in for Hutt. I mean, I think she's done a great job. It's a tough race, though, because Grace Yu has raised quite a bit of money. She's run before. What do you say about those two races?
I like Heather Hutt, because the work that she is doing and continues to do. And, I don't often do the identity politics thing, but I think it is good for...
Yes, you do. All politics is identity politics.
I thought all politics was local, but no, I think
okay, so it's both. It's local and it's identity.
What we're facing, especially in a city like Los Angeles and a county like Los Angeles, where our population is 6, 7, 8%, depending upon what city you're talking about. Once we lose our black electeds, it's going to be hard to regain those seats back. And so we want to make sure that we have elected officials who have the interests of the community first.
Talking with James Farr and you, 800-920-1580. We're not quite on time, but we're close enough. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Dr. Renee here. Did you know this time of year is considered peak asthma season because we typically see a spike in asthma-related hospitalizations? If you have asthma and are having difficulty breathing despite medication, it's time to check in with your doctor so you can help avoid landing yourself in the hospital this season. To learn more about managing your asthma, visit www.luma-edu.com. That's LUMA-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors. Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. J.D. Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number Limited Edition Smart Bed. Limited time. For J.D. Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Like I said, it's LA Progressive Day around here on Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580. James Farr is with me. He's a writer for that publication. And we'll be joined by the publishers in Hour 3 as part of our Black Marriage Monday moment. We've got Sharon Kyle and Dick Price, who are the publishers, also happen to be married to each other, joining us as well this morning. So lots of LA Progressive vibes. LAProgressive.com. We can also find you, James, at the Converse.
James Farr Live,
James Farr Live
is the easiest across all socials. You're going to have fun with Dick and Sharon. Wonderful couple. Great people.
Yeah, they are. And also very knowledgeable, which is nice. So we were talking about so many things. Hard to squeeze it all in. But I got to say, I feel like the governor, it's almost like he set up the CLBC. If, in fact, they were trying to protect him by vetoing the Freedmen's Bureau and the funding agency. Mm-hmm. And then he turned around and vetoed the restitution bill, the land reclamation bill, using the excuse that there was no agency after, which if he would have vetoed the agency would have looked real crazy. So now they give him cover. Meanwhile, right after they tanked all of our reparations bills, he vetoes the bill that would have made undocumented immigrants eligible to apply for a loan to buy a house, saying that the money wasn't there. But to me, he set them up and pretty much pimp slapped them.
Played them.
Yeah.
Played them. and again, at first, it didn't make sense, and now we see how it all came together, right? Like
It still doesn't make sense from a black perspective.
No, absolutely. From our perspective, it doesn't make sense, but it absolutely makes sense that he played them, right?
Yeah.
You know, no one will admit it this way, but they provided him cover.
Okay, so here's the thing. The governor, I agree with you, he probably does want to be president. If Kamala Harris wins, he can't run until 32? Yeah.
You're giving her 2 terms.
Yeah.
Okay.
If she wins.
Okay.
Even if she doesn't win, because the second term, you don't take on the incumbent unless they're Joe Biden. In general, you don't do that. So even if as long as she wins, he can't run until 2032.
Right.
He's going to have to do a lot to stay relevant that long.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a long.
There's no Senate seat
There's
open.
no Senate seats. I don't see him doing Congress. I mean, that's not a big enough seat for him.
You think Newsom could win what seat? Kamlager Dove?
No, of course
Maxine
not.
Waters?
Of course not.
I don't think so.
Of course not. Of course not.
Well, wait. He'd be coming out of Northern California, right? So
I mean, maybe he goes back into San Francisco. Who knows, right?
Well, yeah, that's true. But my point is that I guess he walks away clean. So what happens if they bring it up in the next session like they've promised to do? Not that I'm really big on promises, but let's say they do.
Mm-hmm.
At least those 2 bills. It should be 3. It should be the land restitution also. The governor's not out. He still has another year.
So will it make it through, right?
Is he going to veto them again?
I think the different question is, will the bills come back?
Well, that's the main question. He can't veto anything that doesn't exist. But to your point about him positioning himself, he's successfully kicked the can down the road, but not all the way down, because the governor's contest is in 2026.
Correct. But my concern is, will these bills actually come back?
Yeah, I believe they will. Senator Bradford believes they will, but I wouldn't take it to the bank.
Will they come back while Newsom is still in office?
They better.
That's the question.
We're not trying to wait 2 years.
Well, they were supposed to be signed a month ago, right?
Absolutely.
That's what we all thought.
Least,
that's what we all believed.
At least voted on, yeah.
At least voted on, right? At minimum, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't put too much stock in assuming, because they said it's going to happen, that it's actually going to happen.
It reminds me of those T-shirts. My parents went to Cancun, and all I got was this T-shirt. The CLBC, worked on reparations, and all I got was this stinking plaque. Yeah, and it's one plaque. It's not like there's every city hall in the state of California will now carry this plaque. It's one plaque at the Capitol.
I thought every black business got the plaque. I thought, how they do the Stanley Cup trophy where it kind of just tours around.
Actually, I don't know, but now I do.
It kind of just parades around. Each player gets a chance to hold it and take it home with them. I'm
an apology and a plaque.
An apology and a plaque.
And the sequel to the Crown Act. An act barring book banning in prisons, I believe. And there was one other one that passed. Oh, yeah, the grocery stores.
Well,
we'll tell you if you're shutting down a grocery store.
The apology could have come when you got the notification from your bank that you had just deposited a check, right? That I believe that's what most people
I mean, I understand that, but I do feel like an apology helps legal cases for reparations. I do.
I don't disagree with you.
I think it's a win. But that alone, it's just like they're playing in our faces. They're playing in our effing faces.
Sad day.
I mean, you had 14 bills. And, several are substantive.
Mm-hmm.
None of them offered cash. But the Freedmen's Bureau and the funding mechanism create the structure to handle cash payments. Should we be so blessed should we be successful in our quest, which I don't think we'll give up until we are, to get funding.
Yeah. Well, It's a tough situation right now.
But you get an apology, and you get an apology, and you get an apology.
If you look under your seat, Dominique, there's an apology right there for you.
Right, an apology and $5 will buy you a cup of coffee at Starbucks. I mean, I get the uselessness of it in some ways. I celebrate it as a win, but not what we needed, not what we could have, what we had within reach. I love the way it's being reported nationally. Well, California, like as if it's a big deal. Okay, but can we? I need us to keep the pressure on, and I believe that we will. I don't think we're going to black down on.
No, I don't see the community. I don't see folks who have been vested in it for so long saying that's it. No, it's coming, and it's going to continue to come.
Got a minute here. What do you want to spend it on, Mr. Farr?
I encourage people to visit the West Abdullah website and learn more about their platform.
That's why you brought me a T-shirt this morning.
Yes, that is why I bought you a T-shirt this morning.
I know quite a bit about. We can get back to arguing national politics when you come back.
I'll think about it. I'll think about it. Yeah, because I do have a thought about it, and I'm really concerned about Harris. I really am.
Yeah, I know you have this wholesome concern. We'll talk about it when you return, and of course we have the vice presidential debate tomorrow, so we'll have a lot to unpack whenever you get back.
You guys will be live tomorrow night?
Yeah, we're broadcasting once again, having a party and a broadcast. It's KBLA Talk 1580. Thanks, James.
Thank you.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The vice presidential debate between Democrat Tim Walz and Republican J.D. Vance is set for Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like the presidential debate 2 weeks ago, there will be no